I am going to make a little guess. And that is if you are someone who wants to be selling online courses, digital products, coaching services, some kind of thing where you are helping someone else to learn a new skill, that your skill is in the teaching, in the doing, in the inspiring, and maybe not so much in the selling. Or maybe you're okay at selling, but you just don't like it. It is a very common story amongst creators because most of us didn't get into this business to sell and to be salesy and to essentially turn into a used car salesman. Not many people that I meet love those kind of vibes. Sure, there's people out there and that is their jam. They will very aggressively sell you into their thing. But most of the people that I work with are the opposite. They will resist selling for the single reason they don't want to be too salesy. They don't want to be icky. They don't want to feel gross. They don't want to feel like they're doing something akin to a timeshare salesperson because we've been in that situation. We've probably all been in that situation where someone pushes something on you and you buy it, not necessarily because you want it. Maybe you think it's okay, but because you don't want to say no to them, because you feel like you're almost being pressured into it. I am the essential people pleaser. If someone ever comes to my door selling something, they've almost got a guaranteed sale because I struggle with saying no to people in that situation. I feel guilty about it. And I don't ever want to put anyone else in that situation. And if you're a little bit similar, then you may resist selling because you don't want to feel gross. You don't want to feel like one of those people who kind of pushes your stuff onto someone and really gets in someone's face and feels aggressive about it. However, the flip side of that, when you don't want to be too salesy, is that you can end up underselling and not selling enough and not inviting people into your world. And you put yourself at risk of not having a profitable and sustainable business. And I don't want that for anyone. So today I'm going to go through some strategies with you of how you can stop feeling salesy, how you can potentially sell without even feeling like you are selling in a way that makes you feel so much more comfortable about it. And it's going to invite people into your world in a way that aligns with you, it aligns with your customers, makes you feel good, and most importantly, helps you bring in revenue to your business. Even if you're a business where you are not wanting to bring in revenue for yourself, you're doing this to help people and to have a bigger impact. The more revenue you are able to generate, the more impact that you are going to be able to have. So regardless of your goals, you got to sell and just can do it in a nicer way, potentially, so that you don't end up in that sleazy salesperson trap and feeling really gross and icky about stuff. So in case you are new to these live streams, my name's Sue McLachlan. I'm from the Unicorn Advisory, and every day this month I am doing a series around the topic of this is what I'd do if. This is situations that I've either found myself in or I find my clients in, and I don't want to feel salesy is probably up there, very close to the top of the list of things that I work through with people. So I'm going to share my thoughts and hopefully you'll get something out of this. But if you do have any questions, please comment below as I go through this. So creators are often exceptionally good at delivering value. A lot of creators love the teaching. I don't know about you, but for me, I love teaching. I love sharing. I love helping. That is the kind of thing that drives me. I also love making money because, especially when you are able to set up things that generate income for you when you're not working every day. The last few months, I've been on a very quiet season in my business, and I've still been able to generate at least 5 figures every month because of work that I've done in the past. And I feel really good about that. And I would love for you to get to a place where you can feel good about it too. But when you don't feel comfortable about selling because you feel super comfortable about teaching, that can lead to this sort of gap. And often when you don't want to be salesy, that can result in your course not selling. Now, I did a live stream the other day about what to do if your course isn't selling. So this is a little bit connected to that. But if you're not selling enough because you don't want to be salesy, then you're not going to generate the revenue. And sometimes you can end up thinking that it is a course problem or it's a you problem, it's a teaching problem, when it's simply not making enough offers to people. And in the goal to avoid being salesy, you avoid selling. However, selling doesn't have to be that whole bro marketing, like urgency and flashing, like, buy this now, you got 20 minutes to make a decision, like the countdown timers that are up there. And it doesn't have to be in that way where you're putting a lot of stress on people to make a decision, where you are having to show up like crazy, even though that maybe doesn't suit your energy. You certainly don't need to be out there putting out money claims. Like, I know a lot of people that I talk to are like, well, I'm not in a niche where I'm, teaching people how to make money. But all these people that are online, the ones that seem to be successful, are all like, oh, I made $100,000 or I made $1 million. And they feel like they almost have to do that too. But you do not. There are definitely ways to be successful without having to go through all of that. And just because you see it everywhere, just because you see it in this course creation niche, and just because you see it from people who are successful course creators themselves, doesn't mean that you have to do it too. Some people like that strategy. Some people have learned it and it makes them a lot of money, and they'll continue to do it because that works for them. And if that works for you, awesome. But for a lot of us, it just doesn't work because it doesn't feel in alignment. It doesn't feel right. It can make you feel like, I don't know, you're just being too abrasive and you're pushing your stuff onto people, and you don't want to do that. And that is totally okay, because everyone has different values and different styles. So what I would love to share with you is a different way to think about it. Now, how I think about selling is I think about it as inviting. So instead of selling to someone, you're giving them some information about what it is that you're selling, and you're allowing them to make a decision. You're simply sharing invitations. Now, you can also sell without selling altogether. And I am not even kidding when I say this. The most money that I have spent on any kind of program, coaching, etc., was spent with the least amount of selling. And I mean practically almost no selling. So I met a beautiful couple at Kajabi Hero Live last year, Jacopo and Alessia from Profitable Talents. We just chatted. And then after the conference, we connected. I wanted to have a chat and learn a bit more about what they were doing. And we had this big long conversation. They asked me about their business. I asked them a bit about what they were doing, and then the call came to an end. They did not sell me on their offer or their product or anything. The call was just like, okay, this is really awesome meeting you. And I was like, well, I really am vibing with what you guys are doing. I think it's amazing. How, if I wanted to work with you, how could I do it? And they invited me. They told me what it was that they did, and then they left that with me to think about it and work out if that was something that I wanted to do. And I did. And I worked with them without them sending out a sales email, without them putting me into a webinar funnel, without going through their live challenge, without even a sales page. And I just find that remarkable, because it was, a high amount of money, way more than, other money that I have spent. And it was the least amount, like, I felt so comfortable with that decision because I really, really trusted them. And it was just an example of how selling can be done in such a different way. And I'm sharing that with you because I've learned a lot from them and from that process. And most importantly, from how I felt. I felt so good about spending that money, which normally, when you're experienced with that like forced urgency and that pushing and, oh, you have to make a decision, by tomorrow because the cart's closing and, this is closing and you won't be able to join again till next year and all that kind of stuff. It means that you're making decisions, or your customers are making decisions out of a place of fear. And that is why it feels icky when you're kind of forcing people to make a decision before they're ready. That is when it is, it's just not nice. Like, no one likes to feel nice, and no one likes to feel in that position. You want your customers, well, I want my customers as well, and my clients and people that I'm working with, to just be like, damn, I really like Sue. I really want to work with her. I love this whole vibe. So I'm going to share with you my thoughts around this so you can think about this situation and apply it to your next thing that you are wanting to sell. Imagine it was your 40th birthday and you wanted to have an epic birthday party. What would you do? Would you just say to people once, oh yeah, I'm having a birthday party, and that'd be the end of it? You say, yeah, it's in October. Or would you be like, oh my God, I'm going to have a birthday party. It's going to be on the 8th of October. I'm thinking that we're going to go out for dinner. Are you keen? Sure, you could say that. You're giving a little bit more specific information. But if you only say that once to someone might be like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. I'm totally in. 15 minutes later, they've probably forgotten about that. It is important to you because it's your birthday. you're excited about it. You are going around telling everyone. But for the person that you've just told, they've got their own life. They've got stuff going on. And if you only ever have that one conversation, maybe you drop something in a Facebook post, like, oh, I'm really excited about my birthday in October. Maybe they'll see it, maybe they won't. If that's all you do, the chance of getting a lot of people to turn up to your birthday party, even if you were paying for everything, is really, really low. But let's say you're going to have planned this epic birthday party. Month before the birthday party, you start telling people about it. You're not yet asking for formal RSVPs or anything else. You're just like, oh my God, this is so cool. Maybe you share like, oh, I've seen this restaurant. Like, what do you think? Like on your stories or on your social media to your friends. When you're talking, in person to them, you're like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about doing this. It's really cool. Make sure you block off this weekend because that's when it's going to be. Sort of multiple times mentioning it because hey, you're excited about it. So of course you would mention it. But at that point, you're not yet sending out anything formal. You're just telling people, you're just kind of getting them excited and letting them know that it's coming up so they know it's happening. But then, you want to actually know how many people are going because you need to book the restaurant or the venue and you need to know for catering or, whatever it is, you need to know. And so, closer to the date, you're going to be like, all right, hey, you might set up a Facebook event, something like that, and actually ask people to tell you, are you coming? So you're actually taking that interest and turning it into a tangible, yes, I want to sign up for this. And, whether you do that a month before, a couple of weeks before, 6 weeks before, whatever it is, you're turning that like, hey, I'm telling everyone that I know about this party into, are you coming? Yes or no, I need to know because the party is happening. Now, at any point in that process, do you think you're going to feel like you're selling it to someone or you're just sharing your genuine excitement about something cool that is coming up? And are you then sharing the need to know whether that person is coming or not and actually asking them to, put down their name and say, yes, I'm coming. And when it's on, do you think you're just going to like leave it to Facebook to remind them that it's on? Or are you going to send out multiple messages beforehand, like saying, hey, don't forget, it's happening tomorrow. I can't wait to see you at 7:30 or whatever the case is. You're going to naturally share reminders. You're going to talk about it a lot, but it's not going to be in a way that's going to feel gross because it's something fun. It's something that you want to share. What if you took that energy into the next time you're selling something? What if you just shared with someone that same enthusiasm and stopped taking the judgment out of it and stopped taking the, oh, but if no one buys it, I'm selling too much or I'm being too aggressive or anything like that? What if you just shared and just let them know, and then at some point in time say, hey, I would love for you to put your name down for this. I'd love for you to confirm. Give them that invitation to come and buy. So share some excitement, then give them an actual ask. Say, hey, we've been talking about this. That sounds like something that'd be really great for you. Or you can do that on a bigger scale. But then just saying, hey, if you want to do it, here is the checkout, here's the page that's got a bit more information on it where you can, go into the more details. And then that has a checkout page so someone can actually buy and actually put their name down for it. It's totally different vibes, right? So think about invitations as a way to make sure that people know about your offer. Think back to what I said in the beginning. If you just tell someone about something, no matter how epic it is, and you just tell them once or maybe mention it in passing or just sort of chuck something up on social media, because that other person, it's not yet important to them. It probably is never going to be as important to them as it is to you. If you don't continually share and continually, build up a bit of excitement and hype and remind them, then they can forget about it. They can get, absorbed in their own world, in their own life. And when you're selling, it's the same kind of principle. It's not just a one-time, oh, hey, does this sound cool? I mean, even trying to get people together for dinner, like this weekend, like if you wanted, or next weekend, is saying, hey, we're going to go out Friday night. You'd need to do multiple reminders. You'd need to do, like a double check before, hey, you're still coming. It's the same thing with selling. People need reminders, and selling and inviting is a way of reminding them and spelling out the benefits and making sure that they know why this thing is going to be really, really cool and why they are going to enjoy it, why it is going to help them, how it is going to get them a transformation that they've been looking for or help them learn something that they don't yet know. Because you can have the best course in the world, the most epic, the most like divine, like beautifully filmed. Everything could be glorious. This course could be, absolutely spectacular, Ivy League school worthy. But if no one knows about it because you haven't invited them to it, it's not going to sell. And when you're selling, you're going to bring revenue into your business. So you're going to make it a business and not a hobby. And it's going to allow you to have greater impact and help you get to your goals. And if your goal is freedom, if your goal is traveling, if your goal is to quit your job, if your goal is to spend more time with your family, whatever that is, selling is going to help you get there. So change selling, make it inviting. Inviting is going to help you get there. So I'm just going to give you some actual practical, non-cringy ways to sell, things that might help you feel a little bit more comfortable about it. So ways to invite people, you can tell stories. You can just tell stories about your product, your service, your offer, and how it's helped people. Tell stories of clients that you've worked with. So kind of like case studies. It can just be sharing the wins that people have had. And you can do that formally through like specific emails. If you're doing an email sequence, you could just share on your stories or on your social media. You could put little stories on your sales page. Like there's different ways that you can tell those stories and share that. You could just, do a video between people. You could just get onto a video and just say, hey, I just wanted to ask you, how did this help you? And then share that video with people. So it's actually in your customer, your client's words. So you don't even have to do it yourself. You could share your process. You could share the way that you like to work so that people know and understand, like, hey, this is how they like to do things. And especially if that's in alignment with them, they're like, oh, I really like that step-by-step way that someone, talks through things. I like their vibe, whatever it is, like sharing that process and the way that you work is, not selling. You're just sharing what you do so that if it's for the right person, then they'll be like, okay, I like that. And it's also about sharing your values as well, because sometimes, especially in a very polarizing environment in the US, I sometimes am very grateful not to be in the US, but also feel so much for friends there because it is incredibly polarizing. And there's a lot of situations where you may choose to work with someone or not, depending on their values. So if you're able to share your values, then that can help people make decisions as well. You can also mention your offers naturally while you're already teaching something, while you're doing content that maybe isn't necessarily designed to sell, but just kind of weaving them in when you are talking about your business, talking about things you do. If you are talking about those stories, you can be mentioning your program or your product's name without necessarily going into a hard sell, just making sure that you're continually referencing that so people are aware of it and they know of it. And you can use really soft calls to action, like, hey, if this is something that you think that would help, I'd love to work with you, just like this one that I'm about to do. So I created a program in 2023 called Make More Offers. At the time, it was a live or a paid newsletter product that went out every week with a different way to sell. Now, 2023 was a bit of a disaster. I ended up in burnout. So that did not go past. I think I got it to about 8 weeks and then I had to end up pulling the plug on it. However, there is a heap of really great information in there, so I've decided to make it free if you're watching this video. So go to theunicornadvisory.com/this and you'll see a link so that you can sign up for it for free. And hopefully that will give you some more ideas of ways that you can make offers, that you can invite people into your world, things that you can do throughout your business. Nice little soft touches like PSs on emails and weaving links to your programs into blog posts and YouTube content and heaps of different ideas. So, have a check that out. There might be some things in there that are interesting for you. So that is totally free to sign up at theunicornadvisory.com/this. See? And if it helps you, you're very welcome to it. Now, the other thing I just wanted to mention as well is with selling, and seeing other people selling and seeing other people sharing their stories of the billions of dollars that they have made selling their courses and programs online, it can leave you often feeling like you have to do it their way. And sometimes as well, you can do programs, from different people. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of creators out there selling programs on how to create courses and how to sell and how to launch and all those kinds of things. And sometimes it can feel like you have to do what they are doing. But just remember that a lot of the times people that are posting these, multi-million dollar, six-figure things, they're not sharing everything that is going on in their world. They're not sharing what has got them to that point of success. Maybe they've been in business for 10 years and they have 1 million people on their email list. Maybe they have a very large ads budget or a huge team. And if you're trying to compete with that and you're trying to judge your success based on what other people are doing, it can totally set you up for, feeling like something that you are doing isn't right. And it's just not the case. So just remember, you don't need to copy someone else's style. You can find ways that work for you. You can sell in ways that make you feel comfortable. Just like if you were going to host a party, two different people. I'm pretty extroverted. I'd be like, yes, oh my God, I'm going to have a party. It's going to be awesome. And I'd probably be going on and on and on about it in a very like, oh my God, I just found this cool thing. Like, you have to see it. Someone else who's very introverted might just be like, oh, hey friends, I found this restaurant. What does someone think? And a totally chill and different vibe. And you can be like that. Like, just be like you when you are selling, because that's part of the process. You are selling to people. People will buy from people that they like and people that they trust. So don't try and be someone else in your selling. It's something to be a little bit careful of as well if you're using ChatGPT for a lot of your content. And it's one of the reasons why I always talk to ChatGPT rather than typing stuff into ChatGPT. I pretty much brain dump all my ideas and concepts. And then I'm like, please reorder and rephrase this, but keep my tone of voice. So it enables me to create content that sounds a lot more like me. And if I start seeing it like, I should expose myself in my ChatGPT rants. I'm like, stop putting me in a formula, stop making it bro marketing. I want it to sound like me. And if you haven't been on ChatGPT lately, it does a very good job of de-escalating and going, oh my gosh, Sue, you're so right. You told me not to do that, and I've done it again. Don't be afraid to make sure that the things that you are doing, your content, everything out there is just like you, because you are the person that is, selling at the end of the day. And you don't want to sound like everyone else on ChatGPT. You may not want to sound like a bro and be really pushy and talk about, millions of dollars that you've made. And that is totally okay. So, stay true to that energy. But even though you may not want to sell like the bros and, all of that kind of thing, please don't take that as an opportunity to be silent and pull yourself back from selling. I would really strongly encourage you to stretch yourself out of your comfort zone and try some of these things. Hey, if you try it and you hate it, no problem, but you might try it and go, actually, I really like that. For ages, I was terrified of doing webinars. There is some part of me that still is. I have video anxiety. However, once I get on to a webinar and once I start teaching, I am totally fine. I'm actually really good at doing live webinars. So for me, that is a great strategy. However, for someone else, that could be the most terrifying thing. They may turn the camera on, freak out, not be very good at presenting. And it just isn't a great way to sell because it's not inspiring trust. So there may be other ways for you to sell. However, it doesn't hurt to try these things. It doesn't hurt to be like, all right, I've seen this happening. I'm going to give it a go. Not all the time, like stick to your core way of selling, the things that feel good, but occasionally stretch yourself. Keep practicing, keep pushing yourself perhaps to do one more post or one more email or, do just that little bit more so that you can start to feel more comfortable. But think of it as you're sending an additional invitation. You're just reminding people one more time in case they missed it. And you're not going to get it perfect at first. And maybe it's something where you try a webinar 2 or 3 times and then on the 4th time it clicks and you're like, actually, no, I quite like this. Or it's getting onto YouTube or whatever it is, just like, don't be afraid to push yourself a little bit and stretch into inviting more and making more invitations. So in case you got any questions, please do let me know. Scott, it's great that you are here, and Sydney Eve. I love that you are joining me. It's very cool to have you here. But I just want you to take away one thing from this. Reframe selling to inviting. Invite people into your world. If you want to be doing things like adding, countdown timers to remind people of when something closes, that is totally cool if that's what you want to do. But do things that are in alignment and that feel good for you. And remember as well that when you are inviting people, maybe this just isn't the right time, because when you are inviting on a deadline and on a time frame and you're like, hey, this is only open on this date, that's your dates. That's you setting that. And if someone can't make it, maybe that's not about you. Maybe that's just they've got stuff going on in their world. But next time you have the same invitation, then maybe it is the right time for them. So invite, feel comfortable with that, and send more invitations. I'm gonna challenge you to really stretch yourself. And if you would like to grab Make More Offers, if you don't have it already, for I think it's got 23 different ideas for ways to make offers, and then a few of the emails that went out that might give you even more. Just go to theunicornadvisory.com/this. That is also where you can catch the replays every day and sign up for a reminder of when I'm going to be going live, because I don't do this at the same time every day. I'm someone who struggles with video anxiety. So when I decided to do this 30-day challenge, I was like, the challenge is just to go live every day. I can't, take that extra step of setting it to be a specific time. You may have noticed that I pushed the time out a little bit today because I was feeling a little bit nervous. So if you want to get the heads up when I'm going live, please go to theunicornadvisory.com/this. You can sign up for that, grab Make More Offers, and I have got the podcast version of this live on there as well. So you can follow. Not sure if it's on Apple Podcasts yet, but it's on Spotify and a few others. So if you would prefer to follow along and get the audio edition of each one of these, you are more than welcome. I hope this was helpful. Tomorrow, this is going to be talking about a situation that has been very recent in my world, and I'm going to be sharing, this is what I'd do if I wanted to close my membership. I ran a membership for 5 years and I decided to close it down in January this year. So I'm going to go through some things to think about if you're in the situation, whether you've been running a membership for a few months or a really long time, how you can decide what is the best thing for you, whether you need to shut it down, whether you need to change it, and just talking through that. And of course, if you have any hypothetical, this is what I do if situations that you'd like me to cover on this series, please pop a comment below. As you know, I got lots of ideas, but I want to make sure this is really, really helpful for you. Sue from the Unicorn Advisory signing out, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.